All right, we're live. All right, welcome back to BILT's Weekly Live, where we go over everything real estate with an AI and automation marketing touch. First off, thanks again for everybody for tuning in tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but instead you are here with me. I appreciate that. If you are new here or you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, there is a link to the actual Zoom link at basically it's in the description of either YouTube or Facebook. So make sure you to join it from there. We do more shared screen capabilities inside there. So there's a lot of things we can't show on YouTube, Facebook. So today we're going to be focusing on a few common requests such as property management and multifamily, commercial, all that good stuff. Again, more stuff to when you graduate from being a wholesaler. Um, as usual, if you guys have a specific topic you want me to go over in the next live, but please reach out and let me know. This was also one of them. Also, if you wish BILT can do more, make sure you guys are checking out our ideas board. Again, right, like we're in the process of building 3.0. And every single one of you guys that are using the system at the moment will get 3.0 as it automatically launches. This could be a build out that takes 6 months, could take a year, whatever, but I want to be able to make sure we're building everything you guys want. So just keep in mind, if you are on the website, at BuiltCRM.com, and you go to the bottom, there is the ideas board, and if you click on that, it'll pop up a roadmap thing for you guys to fill out. So just keep that in mind. There is that there for you guys. You guys can check out and add a feature, add a new one, and then forward. At the same exact time, if you guys wish to support BILT and also receive an additional free month of BILT, please make sure you guys are submitting your video testimonials, which can be found on the left side menu under testimonials. Just submit us a video testimonial. Make sure you guys have used the system. Make sure you guys have adequate experience in the system. Don't just be a beginner who just wants to get a free month off. We're more than happy to give it to you, but we want you guys to use the system. So just keep that in mind. But again, right, the whole goal here is to give value for other people inside of the system and make sure you guys are using it. If you guys are enjoying these lives, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channel and sharing the value on Facebook, so we can continue giving out this free education. But with that being said, guys, we're going to jump right into today's main topic, which is going to be focused on the commercial and the multifamily as well as property management. As you guys know, like right off the bat, the system is geared towards LOI blasting, geared towards wholesaling and acquisitions in general, for single family, maybe even smaller multifamily. But you can't really send LOIs, on blast to multifamily, let alone commercial deals, because of the nature of it, right? Those type of deals, you kind of want to go and meet them at Top Golf. You want to go really actually talk to them in person, maybe meet up at a Starbucks, maybe meet at their business if you're buying businesses or commercial or whatever it may be. So it's a little bit different than just single family. Single family, we can blast them all day long. Not really a problem, whether it's sellers or agents. It makes no difference. So just keep that in mind. But on the other hand, the most common thing is like, oh, hey, Mo, does this system you work for multifamily? Yes, you can do multifamily. We're just not going to blast them. We can blast them in a different way, and which is what we're going to be talking about today, which is what we do currently for our type of acquisitions in multifamily, more so in businesses as well. But it's all the same thing at the end of the day. Instead of blasting them an actual LOI, right, we will blast them some sort of introductory message, whether it's email and also follow up through SMS, which is basically just to kind of gain their trust, try to get them on the phone with you, kind of do all the things that we're trying to achieve as much as possible through acquisitions on single family, but more so on the multifamily side and commercial. So that's what we're kind of gonna dive into today. We're going to talk about building out a pipeline so it's as simple as possible in the beginning. And of course, all of this at the end of the day, as well as the buyer die funnel we spoke about before, all the extra stuff we've been building over the period of time. I know we build a few things together and then we ultimately end up building it all completely on our end for you guys to have. So let's just keep that in mind. So what I want to do today is actually jump right in, right? I want to jump right into the system and kind of show you guys. Again, this is just one of my testing accounts right here that I use for creating stuff. Nothing too specific, nothing fancy. In fact, it doesn't even have any of the features of 2.0 at the moment on this account. It's just mainly for us to brainstorm and kind of build this stuff out. So let's think about this for a second, right? So if we want to, target multifamily or commercial, um, does anybody realistically know the difference between the two, right? If I were to ask right out the gate, that you guys that are in here right now, like single family, the minimum requirements are to have square footage, ARV, and if you want to do creative finance, let's say mortgage balance. So those are the three main things. But when we're going with, let's say, yes, Don, if you have issues with BILT, we're more than happy to assist. This can be focused on Q&A as well. So if you have a question, you can just stop me whenever, and then we can dive into it. If you want to put it in the chat.
But
Yeah.
I'll go ahead, be patient whenever you're ready. No worries.
I'm sorry.
I'll be patient. Just whenever you're ready, that's fine with me. Do
All
what
right.
you got to do.
All right. Cool. But basically, the big difference between multifamily, commercial, and single family is, prop stream, batch leads, deal sauce, X leads, prop wire, all these different data sources. They'll give you the ARV, right? Um, and so the main concern here, when you have that, when you shift over to a multifamily and commercial, you don't have that, right? Instead, they're more focused on P&Ls, or focused on T12s. It's a little bit different, and even if you are dealing with brokers at that point in time, yeah, they'll give you what's called a memorandum, an OM. They'll give you some sort of PDF, or maybe they'll give you all the documentation, but there's no real way to just upload that directly into any system where it's going to translate that at the moment. So it's more of, if we're going direct to seller on that, we definitely don't have the information. And even if we do target brokers, we still got to kind of peel it from them, right? And ask them, hey, does your seller have this information? Can you get me the last 3 months of, last 45 days of balance sheets or whatever, and so forth, right? And so we're still going to get that information from them. So my thought process is always, well, we still want to use automation, but when it gets to certain parts of the deal for the acquisitions of businesses, of commercial, of multifamily, it's a little bit different, right? We're not going to be blasting them in that sense. We'll blast them just to build a relationship, and then once we get them on the phone, that's where everything kind of ends up turning more manual, manual face to face, or manual on Zoom, or even on the phone, right? There's not really a direct script for something like that. So that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on today. But what I will be breaking down is, let's say we wanted to build a specific pipeline for these, and maybe some specific automations that we can use, so that you guys can maybe start implementing this today, right? If you are focusing on those type of deals. So we're going to create a whole new pipeline right here. And for this specific purpose, we're just going to call this, commercial / multifamily. And before I jump right into this, Don, what question do you have, so we can, before we actually dive into this, maybe this other people have that same question. We can get into that as well.
Just really quick. Just a couple things. Like, I was trying to do a simple workflow, and it had some issues with it, so I didn't know what to do. And when we put stuff into BILT or automatically send the offers, for some not going out.
It's not going out. What's your account under, Don?
It's under Don at iinvestpropertiesllc.com. That's my email anyway.
Oh my God, these are primarily for Q&A. We add topics
Under
so that you.
consult.
So Don, so it's under Mario's account.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So
or I think it's donconsulting@gmail.com.
yeah, so it's under Mario. We'll look at the friendly business name, but what you're saying right now is the automation that actually triggers, it's not something, is it something you built or we built?
No, you built.
Okay.
Well, I was talking about two different things.
Okay,
The
cool.
one
So,
that, the one you built, for example, that you have originally from brand new,
hmm,
we put it on the list and we map them and all that stuff. And then the next thing I know, we put them into uh, interested send, but they're not going out unless I manually do it one by one, but they're not going out automatically, and we don't know why.
okay, well, first off, right here, I mean, I see right here, you tried even manually sending these ones. Like, I see they have one tag on them. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not going to send, let alone it's not going to do anything if it doesn't have a tag specifying whether it's on market or off market. Like even
Oh, the
this
one
one
that's
that's over here, right? It says agent, it says property lead, but it doesn't have the tag on market.
that's the key. I was on market. That's the key.
Yeah, the key needs to be you need to make sure we're following step 3 in the uploading and mapping data, right? So we talk about even on the spreadsheet version right here. Excuse me.
Hey
So,
Mo, this is Mario.
hey Mario. So,
Hey, so what's going on with those is some of those we created so that when we were testing it, so that may be this ones that you're seeing. So I make sure on the list that I updated or uploaded over the weekend, the on market tag was on them, and I put in a ticket because nothing was going out, and somebody got back to me on Sunday. They told me that there was something with the timer somewhere that was preventing them from going out, even though our schedules were already set up to go Monday through Monday, pretty much. We don't take a day off.
okay, so
So,
if that's the case, your
uh,
timer needs to be adjusted or double checked.
yeah, they did that. So they went out on Sunday. I didn't realize they had gone out on Sunday until Monday.
Because you don't
So
have any leads in here.
I
So,
saw those go out, but we've been having the issues where when we're trying to send something out, there's always something tripping it up, and we just can't figure out what it is. Uh, the only list that we've been able to get through was the one that we uploaded when we got onboarded with you, and ever since then we've been trying to send lists, and something's always tripping them up. So
okay, well,
obviously
who
something
uploaded
that's
that
going
list
on that
with you? Did I upload that list?
you uploaded the one that I think it's 8/5 or it's got a date on it, and that was the only one that went through flawlessly. But
Mhm.
ever since, we've been having problems either with the mapping or I know I had problems. I uploaded the list on Saturday like 10 times because I kept missing something on the mapping
Yeah, what I would
until I
suggest
finally,
you do, both of you guys,
yeah,
is while you guys are trying to upload the new list, either screen share it or Loom it or Zoom record it, something so we can actually pinpoint where you guys are messing up on.
okay,
That would be the
yeah,
easiest method to solve this entire problem because we're probably skipping something, right, during
yeah,
that
that's what I'm
process.
thinking. And we just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The other issue is on creating, and we're hoping we can get help from either you or whoever you assign to us. We need a new automation to get lease options out. And then we talked about that briefly a little bit last time. And we need to that. We tried building it ourselves, but it's just not working the way it should. So we need to have that built out because we need to use those. This is part of our what we want to do.
Okay. Um, yeah, so what we'll do is because again, this is more like custom build out stuff, right? I
Got it.
think that's
Right.
better for more like a one-on-one, or unless you want to do it here on the live and we build it out.
No, whichever you want. I mean, if it works for you, that's fine. Don is the one that designed it so far. So he's gotten pretty far with it, but I know there's some parts of it that are still not,
Yeah. The problem
working
is it
properly.
takes more time reverse engineering something that's messed up than it takes to build it, right? Because then we have to figure out what exactly is broken and then start building at it again. Figuring out what's broken is the hardest part, right? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it would be easier if we just built it from scratch,
Okay.
right? Because like the way I build, and again, right, like everybody builds a little bit different, but the way I build and the way I suggest people build is build one element at a time and make sure you're testing every single element that it's firing, right? So that, but when you go to the next stage and you actually, let's say you build a whole new workflow, or you build, you added 5 new elements to it, make sure it's all working before moving to the next step, or else it won't work, right? And you never know where the problem is, unless you continue to like pause certain ones along the way. And so again, right, it's just easier to build it one step at a time and keep testing it with your own contact, to make sure that it's working, versus just kind of going in and trying to
One question for you. What is absolutely and totally necessary to be able to get a list out properly? Because I know that there is going to be certain fields that are not going to be included in that. One of them being a contact name and last name. Simply,
like what's mandatory?
simply because the list that we're getting is just giving us an address and a phone number.
Just
So
giving
is
you
that
an
going to
address
hinder anything? Yeah.
Are you talking about the lease options, or are you talking about the regular 2.0?
This is off-market properties that we're scraping with the software we use, and that's what we get. We get a property address, and these are listed actually on the MLS off-market.
They're not off. For sale by
They're
owner.
on for sale by owner. I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. For sale by owner. So the information we get is limited. So if that's a hindrance, yeah, that would probably just put the kibosh on the whole thing. But I think we've been able to get it to work. It's just not working the way we want it to at this point. But
I mean, the most important data, Don, Mario, is make sure, of course, you have the contact's name and name, email, and phone number, right? That's really important, especially their email, right? But on top of that, you need the address, city, state, postal code, right, or zip code, or
yeah,
whatever,
that's all
right?
there.
Like that's all basic information, and no matter what data source you go to, will have that. Help, most likely even pulling from Redfin would even have that. But the most important thing to be able to calculate things inside of our system correctly, right? Because I see in your pipeline opportunity value 0. What does that mean? That it wasn't calculated correctly, right? If you see opportunity value 0, that means it was A, you didn't input the correct values. B, it was duplicated, duplicate emails or whatever. You upload at the same exact time or whatever for multiple agents. But if you're doing direct to seller, you wouldn't have that problem. So in this case, right, we need to have ARV, square feet, and again, if you want to do creative finance, then you want to have mortgage balance, right? So subject to and hybrids. If you just want to do cash and seller finance, just set square footage and ARV. An ARV could be worded as AVM, estimated value, whatever they call it in their data source. If your data set does not have that, then you probably want to upload it to a data source that has it and re-export it with all the information. Like PropStream allows you to upload data and re-export. Batch Leads allows you to do the same thing. If you're pulling data sources from random places, that are unknown.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at switching. I'm looking at switching over to PropStream, so I think that should help. So, but I'll would have to get with somebody, one of your guys, that just go through the whole exactly what we want to do. I know that Ahmad suggested we talk to you directly, and I haven't been able to do that. But
do you not have my personal calendar?
Yes, I think he emailed me that, so I'll set that up, and we'll get with you.
Just find a time that works best for you.
Yeah, that works, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it. All right, man.
Yeah,
thanks.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. But while we're on the topic of Q&A, anybody else have any questions at the moment they need me to answer? We get Rebecca. We all good to go. We're successful. Everyone's shooting out offers, getting responses. Cool. Stop me if you have a question. All right, so let's jump back right in what we're trying to achieve, what we're trying to build out inside of here, because I mean honestly, like 10% of you guys that are using BILT are trying to jump into multifamily and commercial at the moment. So I get it. Wholesaling is the hustling game. Want to evolve. Let's go back over here. And let's switch back over to the commercial one. And let's modify the pipeline. So you guys have the ability of modifying your pipelines the same exact way. By either by the pencil or creating a whole new pipeline from scratch. But what we want to do here is, let's think of it the same way you have leads come in a system, you know, new untouched leads. We haven't touched them. We haven't called them. We haven't emailed them. We haven't done anything yet. Boom, we're just uploading data. And then, of course, we might have something along the lines of a discovery where you might attempt to call them. You might attempt to reach out to somebody, seller directly, broker directly, whatever. When it comes to those type of deals. And I know a lot of you guys like to skip this stage. I'm a big believer in calling first, verifying, vetting, building rapport, and so forth. It will increase your conversion rate. And then the next stage, maybe we could do something more of like a what we call introduction. More of like an introduction email sequence, or I'm just going to call this sequence. And this is where it's going to be very similar to how LOI blasting works, but the difference is we're not actually sending LOIs at this stage, right? The whole goal with this is to introduce yourself, introduce, you know, because there's not that many commercial buildings, let's be real. It's not that many multifamily properties or businesses or whatever you're trying to target. Like you can pull large lists as much as you want, but you're not going to get the same amount and quantity as single family. So, no, not even probably 5%. So just keep that in mind, right? The goal with the introduction sequence is purely to reach out to them, to try to get a hold of them, schedule an appointment, book a time with them, and so forth. Next stage, maybe we can do something along the lines of no answer. And again, this comes back to or no response. Where again, your goal is to send them a carrier pigeon because they didn't respond. And then something along the lines of evaluate, right? Or this is where it becomes like based off your process, what do you want to achieve, right? So in multifamily or commercial, right, they got to send you documentation. They got to send you their P&Ls. They got to send you their T12, right, which is essentially just a 12-month P&L. You know, if it's more of a business, then it's 3 years worth, right? And so here we're gonna say something along the lines of needs documentation, right, for this. And then you might say something like evaluate, right, assuming that you already have the documentation. So you got a response for them through the introductory sequence. You requested the docs, so you would move them along the pipeline. And then evaluate means you already have the documentation and you need to evaluate. The next one would be like send LOI, right? Because letter of intents are still meant for commercial, multifamily, and businesses, so they would all work pretty much the same exact way. At this point in time, it's back to a traditional everything else, right? LOI sent to them, okay, cool, accepted, rejected, not interested. You know, the typical things what happens after an LOI is sent. You know, so again, it could be a little bit different, like meeting in person might be needed and so forth. So it depends on how you want to structure it. Like I'm just building this right now live with you guys, kind of going over what would be best for more like a commercial view, meaning usable for everybody, right? It might not be the exact way that you do it, but that's just how we'll go with it. So send LOI. I'm also gonna put in here meeting in person, right? Because that is needed a lot for these multifamily deals. And whoever says that, oh, well, I never meet people in person to lock up my multifamily deals or commercial deals, your conversion rates will be way lower than you think, right? If you were to do that. This is where you need to be playing top golf with them. You need to be going to Starbucks with them or meeting at their business location. And then something over here, right, is we need something under contract, right? And typically this is the actual LOI that happens. Usually after you meet them in person, you guys finalize and determine stuff, but you're still going to have the typical lost, you know, deals that fell out. You're going to have the typical DNC and so forth. After you get under LOI, there's more due diligence, and we're not going to do that right now. The goal with this pipeline is essentially acquisitions, right? How you do due diligence is another thing completely. If you want to know how we do our due diligence as well as our full 300-point checklist for acquisitions, due diligence on businesses, commercials, and multifamily, just reach out to us. You should already have it anyways in the free resources. But that's basically something to sum it up. Again, I'm trying to make it very, very simple, straight to the point for you guys. The real only part that's going to be automated in here would be your introduction sequence. And the introduction sequence realistically is only going to be, you know, dependent if it's a seller or dependent if it's going to be a broker, right? And so to make this simple as well, right, what I'm going to do is we're going to create a new folder for this. So the automations, 04, we'll just call this commercial for now. And then we'll go in here, we're going to create a workflow. And inside this workflow, we're just going to call this one the introduction sequence. Again, there's different ways to do this, right? The trigger here is simply going to be a pipeline stage change because we're going to move them along the pipeline. And later on, we can turn some more automation and stuff to make it auto send. But for now, we need to specify what happens when they go along this part of the pipeline. So in pipeline, being very specific, the commercial / multifamily acquisitions pipeline, and then what specific stage, right? So the pipeline stage. And again, right, like maybe you guys, Don and Mario, like see me build this out or something might be helpful into maybe seeing what you guys did wrong. But essentially here, what we're doing is we're just specifying what stage, once things get moved here to the introduction sequence, what it's going to do afterwards. We're going to save that trigger. And so now what we can do is we can send them an email sequence, right? Or a text sequence or a voicemail sequence or whatever sequence we want after that, an automation, right? And in this case, we're going to say from user email. Oops. Let's do email. And then from, oh, that one should be the name. My bad. User full name. And the email, we can just, again, choose the same thing, email. Subject line, you can name it whatever you want, right? You know, let's just say you're talking to businesses versus commercial multifamily. There's not really anything to be a difference. It's just more of, are they a broker or are they a seller directly? So I'm just going to keep it very broad right now and just say interested in, and then we can always paste in the actual physical address to this later on. But the address will be taken from, let's say, the opportunity or maybe even the contact address. I know our system is opportunity based, so it might be a little bit different, but let's say you paste in the full address here, it would be something along those lines as far as the subject line. But this will be email 1, right? Like the goal here, guys, is to really learn how to build these flows because you just build them once, right? But essentially, it's going to be, hey, so-and-so, right? Whoever the contact name is. In this case, I'm going to maybe put only their first name, but you know, the real goal here is to, are they a seller or are they a broker, right? And if they're a broker, well, the message needs to be different than if they're a seller. And so, hey, so-and-so, I'm going to assume this one's specifically for the broker, right? I saw your post on the property. Again, we'll just go ahead and put the contact full address in here at this point in time. A contact full address. And then maybe you can say something along the lines of, I'm looking forward to speaking to you about this property, as I tried calling you yesterday and got no response. Okay, common tactic we use to try to get a hold of people. Again, if you're dealing with brokers, like that, their goal is to speak to every single person. Their goal is to try to work out a deal to make their commission and so forth, you know, up to 5% or so. So again, like they want to do business with you, and even if you say, hey, I tried calling you or whatever, it's just going to intrigue them more, right? So that would be the goal with that. Again, you're more than welcome to change how the messaging works, and so forth. You know, and modify this as you see fit, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. And so we'll say best regards. And again, we'll just use our user signature inside of here. Again, notice how I'm not using templates that we have like built out in 2.0 and stuff like that. There's no right or wrong way to go about this, right? You can build them directly in here. You can create templates and then just choose your template that you have built out. Either way works. For now, we're just going to create this in a way where it kind of makes sense. But let's go ahead and do this. We'll do email 1. We're going to save that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a wait sequence. So we're going to wait. And let's say we wait 2 days, so 48 hours. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. So copy all actions from here, paste it in here. And so now this will be email 2. And so just as simple as that, we've created 2 emails to automatically send out to a broker at that point in time. You know, just we need to change the messaging of what we want to say. Again, the goal here is just to get a response so you can get on the phone call with them and actually start building rapport. Like you're not going to close a multifamily deal just through email. Like it's just not possible, right? It's not like a single family where they like your number. They like the offer that was sent out. We're not sending any offers at this point, right? So that's how I would do it. Again, I'm not gonna go too deep into what you should say and all that stuff. You're more than welcome to tweak it at your own pace. But the whole goal here is to build something like this, right? So that when we actually publish this and save this, and we shoot a contact through this entire sequence, which we want to double check, right? We just created this. Let's say I create a contact. I'm in here. Cool. Not sure if there is an address in that contact, but we'll double check. Oh yeah, so all right, so cool. So street name here, we're just gonna put 123 Main Street. I don't know, Macon, Georgia 31032. Cool. So now if I go back to the opportunities in here, no thanks. And I go and shift it to introduction sequence, it should go ahead and send that email to them. Now, I don't know if this account has email services. Oh, it does. All right, cool. So it uses a test user. So notice how the email went and sent out. I didn't have a signature at the bottom of my email, but you guys kind of get the idea. Interested in 123 Main Street. That's the subject line. Hello, Mo. Saw your post on whatever. I'm looking forward to. So as simple as that, we were able to create an automation that's completely automated and ready to go. And once they respond to something like that, or they don't respond to this email sequence, maybe the automation we update it where it automatically moves them to no response. But if they did respond, you'll probably see them in the conversation section. And at that point in time, you just request the docs and move them along to need docs, right? That's the simplest way I can think of without going into something really complex right now for everybody in here that wants to start using multifamily or commercial or even buying businesses. It doesn't really matter. You just got to tweak your introduction sequences to match how you want to do business. Again, if you're targeting to a broker or you're talking to a seller, it might be a little bit different, the messaging and so forth, depending on your model, but that'll give you a straight, simple, straight to the point answer. On the other hand, though, if we leave this as is, because evaluating deals, you're going to do that manually through spreadsheets. Sending an LOI, you're probably going to send them a professional email at that point. You could even automate the template for this and just mix and match, like kind of like how we have 2.0. But again, the whole point of this is not really to focus on like building every single nitty gritty automation at this point. It's really just to give you guys an idea how we can do multifamily and commercial. The next one is going to be property management. Now, the way I operate property management is a little bit different than most people. I know a lot of people like to use certain apps. They like to hire property management companies. You know, they like to do a lot of things when it comes to making sure it's 100% perfect. I actually don't. I don't care, right? The way I think of it as, you know, when you have tenants, right? When you have people inside your properties, you know, at the end of the day, they're going to have a problem. Their toilet leaks, maybe some electrical issue, some plumbing issue, whatever it may be, right? What we do instead of hiring property management is we kind of do our little in-house own property management. And what that means is we create what's called a simple landing page, right? Where people, any one of our tenants can go to, dependent on their property, right? And they just submit a ticket, right? And that ticket is going to be something very, very simple, right? It's literally just a form. It has their property address, and they're going to tell us what their problem is through a drop down, and they're going to be able to choose whether it's plumbing, whether it's mechanical, whether it's electrical, whether it's just a little handyman job needed inside the house. Let's say the sliding glass door broke, whatever it may be, it's happened, right? And so being able to be able to do that and just slap it on a website where any one of your tenants can go and view and just select their property to submit the issue, and then it comes into a pipeline inside of BILT, right? Like that's how we do it. And then I have one VA, literally just one VA that delegates from there, right? That VA's job is to say, oh, well, that problem, let's just say it's the toilet needs to be fixed. Well, we need to go and contact the local plumber. And we would already have our local plumbers, electricians, and everything inside of our contacts, right? Inside of our database. Because we all the time need things fixed in those type of houses, right? And so it's like you want to have that Rolodex ready to go, right? And this is why I talk about all the time, like you can build relationships with contractors using the relationship pipeline in BILT 2.0. Like there's no right or wrong way to use the system. It's just a matter of how do you want to operate in your business. And so the way I'm going to look at it and the way I'm going to show you guys how to build this out is, again, very, very simple, straight to the point. We're going to build a form, we're going to build a pipeline, and we're going to build an automation, right? The moment a lead comes through or a tenant reaches out and submits that form, we want it to come inside as a problem, right? A potential problem that that tenant has that a VA can look at, or yourself, right, in the beginning, and be like, oh, hey, I need a plumber, I need an electrician, I need a handyman, whatever it may be, right? It could be even something serious as roof repair, right? Now those are case by case basis, but and then delegate it accordingly. Where a VA could do it, you could do it in your sleep, you could do it through your phone, right? So that it automatically gets sent to the correct person, all right, for that particular area, that specific contractor. And then again, once the contractor responds, we have the ability of, again, resending it back to that tenant to let them know, hey, they'll be there in 48 hours, they'll be there in 24 hours, and so forth to take care of your problem. So that's basically how we would do a property management thing. Again, nothing special. We don't need fancy systems. We don't need to hire a property management company that takes 15-20% of our business, right, and our profits, when you can literally run it through a VA that you pay anywhere between $2 and $5 an hour, right? That's at least how I operate. Again, like the same way I give you guys my customer support would be the same way I give my tenants my support. Immediately, as soon as we can, right? No hesitations, everything. So jumping right back in here, right? If you were to start from the beginning, and again, we would probably start more on the form side, because the form you can slap it on any website, and then you just always give your tenant a specific link that they can go to whenever they have that problem, right? So let's just say we go to the builder right here, we create a new form, and again, right, we're just going to build one very simple right now so you guys can see. But this is what we'll do. Okay, so the form name, we'll just name it right here. Property issue. And you can name it whatever you want. But the goal here, I don't really care for all this too much right now. Start from scratch. Gonna cancel all this. We don't even need all this either. But let's say you have a tenant that comes in. We'll go ahead and put their full name right here that they can submit. They can also go and submit. Now, there's two ways to do this. You can set this form to work on multiple properties or property specific. If you were to do property specific, then maybe you would put the address up here and a specific landing page for it. If you want it to be for multiple properties, which again you can, but then you would have to have them select which property it is. So I'm going to do it based off of I already know what property it is. I like to separate them so they don't know how many properties we have and so forth, let alone I'll kind of let them know what's going on. So in this case, I'll just name this one again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. And you could just duplicate it for each property that you have and set it on an individual landing page. But essentially right here, right, all we need is their full name, right? And then we actually want to create a custom field in here. Custom field, we're going to add a custom field, and we're going to add single line. Actually, let's go back. Let's go ahead and choose a drop down single. Typically, there's only one problem at a time. And in here, we're going to name this issue. All right. And then the option 1 here is going to be plumbing, electrical, HVAC, most common things, right? Then I like to put the last one always as handyman. So, all right. So simple for delegation, so we know automatically what's going on with the property. We'll just put under contact for now. And then also at the same time, let's issue, put that here. We want to create another field where they kind of just really just explain their issue. In there, explanation, we're going to save that. Guys, like, this is literally how easy it is, like how we manage our property management. It's not that hard. You know, they come in, they could be, you know, whoever is inside there, we just need to verify who they are. But realistically, their issue, explanation, you probably already have their contact. If you don't and you want to add it, just add in their phone and name, right? If you think you don't have them already existing in your system. I know some people like to make sure they double enter their stuff. But it's literally as simple as this. So property issue, they put their name, their email, their phone, their actual issue, and then they put an explanation, right? For the explanation, we want to make sure that's required. For the issue, again, we want to make sure it's required. Everything needs to be required in this instance. We have them. The second thing what we need to do is actually attach it to a site, right? So if you have a website already, or you're using one of our templates in here, so right now it looks like I don't have anything. We're going to go and create a new funnel step right here from blank. We're going to call this property rent. All right, cool. So we're going to add a new step. And again, I'm going to name this one. I'm just actually going to name it the actual property, right? So this way I know the path that I can send people, like actually my tenants. I'm going to say, oh, just go to BILTCRM.com / you know, 123 - Main Street, right? And then there's the actual link that you can send them, right? You can do a property based. You can send them a QR code that they can scan, you know, when they're actually in the property, where they can stick on their fridge, whatever. But the goal here is to, you know, we're going to create this from blank, and we're literally just going to slap on a form, right, inside of here. So add a row, select that form we just created. We're going to choose it, bam, and again, without making it fancy, without putting any headers or footers or logos or anything like that, this is essentially ready for a tenant to go be like, hey, I have an issue. Here's the issue. They choose plumbing. So let's just say I open this in a new tab. All right. They type in their information. They have an issue. It's plumbing. Explanation. Toilet is broken. Right. At this point in time, you know, again, right, the more details, the better, of course. So over time, you kind of let your tenant know, but or you can add more fields. But what we want is when this thing is submitted, we want to actually to create in the opportunities inside of a pipeline. So yourself or maybe a VA can manage, right? Kind of delegate. So we're going to create a new pipeline here, and we're going to call this property management. And again, this is going to be, let's say, new issue, the very first one. And I'm going to say delegate. And here's where it's like, okay, this is why I have the 4 things, right? So 4 things here again is going to be plumber. We're going to have our plumbing, electrical, HVAC, Of course, handyman. This is how I like to divide it up. Again, nothing too special. Just ready to go for things that I can set based off that location, right? Again, we're being a little bit more, especially with automation. I like to automate pretty much everything. But if they move that lead to, or that issue to plumbing, it's automatically going to send it to the local plumber or the local electrician or local HVAC to notify them basically, hey, we have a problem here. When can you get out there? Literally exactly what it says. Hey, they have an issue. This is the problem, right? When can you get out there? So that's what we'll create that real quick. Probably wanted to add the thing. And then ETA. And complete. Right. Again, you can add more things to it. You can be more specific all you want. Again, the whole goal here is to make it a minimum viable product for you guys to start using for your own property management. Going back to here, right? If we're looking at this property management sequence, we want to be able to create every single time this form is submitted, we wanted to create it as a new issue. We also wanted to notify you, probably even text you if you're the one doing it, or if you have a VA, notify them of the issue so they can delegate, right? The reason why we do a delegate as well here, because it could be an issue that's not one of these four, and it's a rare circumstance, but maybe they need your assistance as the owner. What should I do in this instance? And so it's like, that's how we kind of handle it. And technically this is more escalate. I worded it wrong, but escalate meaning to you. Okay, so in this instance, right, it's again, it's going back to, hey, you could just use this as is, as a manual thing that, you know, your VA can physically call or send an email to that plumber, electrician, HVAC, handyman, or you can automate it, right? Say, hey, so and so at property 123 has an issue, and you know, you use those custom fields we just built, right? Issue plumbing, and the explanation is the other custom field, right? And so I'll show you how to do that right now. So let's first do the automation where when they submit this form, right? So under here, we're going to create a new folder and we're going to name this property management. Especially when you're like doing multifamily and stuff, like you probably just want to do a QR code, their specific unit. That just might be easier for you guys. But yeah, create a workflow from scratch. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to create this automation, new issue, right? Literally, that's it. New trigger. And we're going to search for the form submitted. So form was submitted on your website. We're going to specify which form it was. Form is. And in this case, we're going to choose. Notice how I have it labeled specifically to the property now. We're going to save that out. So that property is specific in here. So if they submit this specific form that we have open here for the property 123 Main Street, what is going to happen next? Well, the first thing we want is a notification, right? So there's a few different notifications we can do. I like using the send internal notification, maybe send myself an SMS to that particular user, or a custom number. Maybe that's you, but whoever, you can get to decide that. For now, I'm just going to choose all users. And inside the message, it's literally going to say, hey, and let's go ahead and put the user in here. So user's first name. And then we're going to say the contact that actually submitted it. So contact, full name, has an issue. Again, we're just going to put it like that. And then we'll actually go and put the issue that they had. So custom field. Not what I wanted. Yeah, so contact, custom field. So notice we have the issue and we have an explanation. So we'll put in the issue right here, but then we'll also put underneath the actual explanation. So when you get notified, you know exactly what the problem is happening, or maybe that VA that's working for you will get this notification that has everything right away. So it kind of saves them time, whether they get it through email, SMS, you know, regular notification, WhatsApp, whatever, how you have it for them, but we'll save that out. The next thing we want to do is, you know, maybe you want to send an email to as a notification as well on top of that to somebody else in the company, or just a response back to the actual person that submitted it. So, hey, so and so, right? We'll just do a response, regards. So we'll just name it issue will be resolved ASAP, right? Again, you can fix your own subject lines, but hey, so and so, whoever that contact was, that that tenant, just to kind of let them know, hey, like, we're here for you. We got your problem. We understand the situation. We're gonna fix it, right? So, we understand your situation. We will make sure it's taken care of ASAP. We will also let you know the ETA as soon as we get from local contractor, or whatever you want to specify here. So as soon as we get that, we'll just leave it at that, right? And then again, give them their issue, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to let them know that we actually understand their issue, and then again, I like to restate the explanation, right? So here's their issue, here's their explanation, and say something along the lines of regards, right? And then we'll just do your user signature. All right, so that's as simple as that, right? Just notify them, hey, we got you, right? We understand your problem. We'll get to you as soon as we can. But also at the same time, right, we want to go ahead and create that opportunity inside of that pipeline. So create/update opportunity. We're going to select the pipeline, in this case, property management, under new issue. And we'll go ahead and save that, right? Actually, I want the opportunity name here to be based off that. Well, I might not be able to do that right this second. Fine, we'll keep it their name. All right, we'll go ahead and save that and we'll publish it. This way, when I go over here to opportunities, property management is, so right now at the moment we have nothing in here. But if I go and, let's say, let's say I update the information right here. Let's go and just select everything. Say toilet is broken for plumbing. Submit this. Thank you for taking the time. You can modify that, of course. Now inside the new issue right here, well, multiple things should happen, right? Like I should be notified, which I did. I should also get it and through email as well. So let's see what it looks like through email. Help everyone else that to kind of see, hey, we understand the situation. The same thing exactly that we wrote to kind of help them with their concerns. So that's how that would work. Again, let's see what happened with the property management pipeline. Let's switch over. So notice property management has a new issue, right? And if we click on it, right, we know who it was for, right? So at this point in time, right, this is where we need to delegate, right? This is where we need to, number one, have other contacts inside the system. For example, the plumber, electrician, HVAC, handyman. Like we need to have them as a contact in order to delegate them accordingly. But essentially what we need to do basically is, let's say we move it to plumbing, it needs to activate plumber, right? It needs to activate the electrician, HVAC, and so forth. And actually send them an email. But really, in order to do that, right, you got to understand how additional contacts work, as well as I like to call them, what are they called inside high level? Custom objects, right? You need to learn how to use custom objects and stuff. So that's a whole nother thing for another day to make that part more automated. But this basically gives you guys a simple way to delegate, right? Whether it was you personally managing this issue or you have a VA managing this issue, you can kind of delegate accordingly. It's not that hard. Yes, tenants, some of them or have excuses. They have a problem every single day. Those people, you don't want them as tenants anyways. If we're doing more pad split, it would be a little bit different. I actually do not do any pad splits myself to kind of give you guys that input. So if any one of you guys that do pad splits and want to sit down with me and maybe we build this out for 3.0, let me know. I'm more than happy to take your input on how you manage a pad split. I know Airbnbs is a little bit different as well. We want to use more apps for that just because it's constant change, right? And yes, it's better to, back when I was doing Airbnbs, like we want to use those apps. A lot easier to manage, in and out people, different time frames, cleaners. There's a lot more things that go on those aspects, on those type of things. So it's a little bit different for every type of thing. I'm talking about more for property management of your traditional single family long-term rentals. You do not need to hire a property management company. You do not need to give up 15, 10%, 20%, whatever it may be that they're taking in your area. Yes, you can use them to help you with listings, but we are so good at acquisitions, guys. Like, how hard is it to list a rental, right? It's not that hard. We do cold email marketing, we do cold texting, we have web pages, we have so many different things. Facebook Marketplace, there are Facebook groups. It's not hard to get a tenant inside a property. The goal is just keeping them in there, making sure they're taken care of, without having to waste so much expenses on a monthly recurring basis, right? Especially when you start locking up creative finance deals that cash flow on average, let's say $300 a property. You can easily increase that to $500-$600 if you're not relying on property management. So just keep that in mind, guys. But this is really what I wanted to go over today. This was a common ask. A lot of you guys, I would say 10% of you guys want to know how to do commercial and family. I get it. It's not for everybody. I get it. A lot of you guys are still focused on acquisitions and wholesale. And we have plenty and tons of tutorials and YouTube videos on all that stuff, right? So like I don't feel like we need to keep repeating ourselves when you guys can go rewatch those videos. Of course, if you have a question, like that's what these lives are for. That's where my booking a one-on-one with me is, or my team support, CSM, whoever it may be, right? Find the time to have that stuff answered. If you don't have to ask a question, I do not know that you have a question, and therefore I do not know that I can help you. Same thing with my tenant comes to me 3 months later and says, hey, my toilet leaked and it fell through the second floor. Why didn't you tell me to begin with that it had a problem, and now we caused a bigger problem, right? Don't make this a liability, guys, right? Like, make this something that you guys truly want to achieve, want to be successful in, and so forth. So just remember, like, I'm here to help every one of you guys get started and close their first deal or close more deals using BILT. However, if you don't take action, I can't fix that mindset. If you're not willing to learn or upgrade yourself to be better or change how you currently operate, then there is nothing that I can do for you. So, of course, guys, like, this is really all on you. The only thing I can do as one person is build things for you guys, make your lives easier, create these video tutorials so you guys can rewatch them. But at the end of the day, right, it truly is up to you how you use them, and if whether you take advantage of them or not, right? I can give you all the tools in the world, but if you don't take action, there's nothing that'll come out of it, right? You still got to pick up the phone. You still got to build a relationship with an agent, broker, seller, lender, whoever it may be, right? You still have to put in the effort to do that. Unless you just want to be the guy that's behind the scenes like I am, right? As an integrator and just has closers and has acquisition people doing everything for you, and all you're doing is building stuff. That comes with time, that comes with experience, that comes with knowing how everything pretty much works. So just one step at a time, But I do not believe everybody in here wants to stay a wholesaler like that. I don't believe that, right? Not one bit. I don't think anybody wants to continue hustling for the rest of their lives, just trying to make an assignment fee or a commission. Let's say if you're an agent, that's not really sustainable, especially if it relies on you. Now, if you treat wholesaling as a business and you learn how to hire like commission only people, like I teach you guys in the free resources, like that's where it becomes a game changer, right? That's where you guys are no longer being on the phones. That's where you guys are more focused on building the team, building the company, building the brand, right? Actually getting, we call that inbox deal flow, right? Through referral base and so forth. But in order to do that, right, you guys need to think more than just, oh, let me shoot these emails, let me pick up the phone, close them, right? Like, if you're just thinking about that, you will stay someone who's in the labor field the entire time, right? You'll still be the person on the phone, and so you're not really building a business at that point. We're giving you guys these systems. We're giving you guys everything you need so you can become a business, official business, so you can bring in all the people that you need over time. So just keep that in mind. Anybody have any questions in here? I guess right now it's just Mario and Sammy, but you guys are watching on YouTube or watching on Facebook. If you guys on YouTube, yeah, you guys can join the Zoom right inside the description. Hopefully, we don't have a lot of people. Next time, I know a few people dropped off. It was boring or didn't meet their expectations, but felt like we needed to get that out there. But enough of my ranting. We don't have anything today. We'll keep it simple, sweet, straight to the point, and you know, book a call with me if you need it. Book a call with my team if you need it. Whatever you guys are taken care of. But in the meantime, if you need anything, just reach out. Okay. Peace out, everyone. Thank you.